What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 1 of ManCave Sports. I'm Tony.
I'm David.
I'm Michael.
I'm Dimitri.
And we'll be covering a couple topics today regarding the NFL. First topic is going to be Cowboys versus the Rams. I have a lot to say about this, so I think we'll start somewhere else.
That's a given, considering you're a Rams fan. And
Yeah, you guys, someone else can start this.
I'm sorry you had to watch that.
Yeah, that was bad.
Against a team that didn't have any wins, against a team over 500, that's must have been a rough one.
You guys can go ahead and start this, because I have a lot to say about this.
All right, so this past weekend, the Cowboys beat the Rams 44-21. But the final score, I think, is a little lopsided. The Rams scored a couple late to make it closer. But the Cowboys really kicked their ass. I didn't see it coming. This is the first Cowboys win in a month.
A month?
Not just versus a team with a winning record or in the playoffs. This is their first win in a month.
Rip.
So kind of shows how that team is trending. And it's just sad to see that a team with the top paid offensive line in the NFL, you have a running back making $90 million total, his guaranteed contract. You have a top 5, in my opinion, wide receiver, Amari Cooper. Dak Prescott, you have a loaded defense. And it's just, you can't get a win in a month.
It's pretty bad.
Jason Garrett looked like Kyle Shanahan this weekend, by the way.
What really stood out to me with the Cowboys this past week was their ability to run the ball. And that's kind of the Cowboys that we've known forever, is the O-line and Zeke and pounding the ball. The Cowboys had the ball for 36 minutes and 6 seconds this past weekend.
Wow.
That's a big success. That's going to be a recipe for success when you have the ball that long. You can control it with your $90 million running back, and you don't have to make Dak Prescott throw the ball to receivers who are often injured sometimes. But that's the bread and butter for the Cowboys, in my opinion. And the more they lean on that ground game, Tony, I know you were saying something about Tony Pollard. What were you saying? He had
Tony Pollard had 12 carries for 131 yards and a touchdown.
That's the backup running back.
That's the second string running back
against. Guys. And I don't have what the Rams run defense rank was, but I'm pretty sure it was.
It's like,
well, actually, the Rams ranked 3rd against the run when it comes to DVOA. DVOA is we could just call it DVOA if you want, instead of saying DVOA, but it's a defense adjusted value over average, and it's basically the ranking of how many yards they're allowing, but it's based on strength of schedule, and all fumbles are weighted equally. So it's like if you lost it or you won the fumble, or if you lost the fumble, if you lost possession, or if you retain possession, it has no effect on the ranking.
Okay, so that's even more surprising to see the Rams get just gashed like that.
So 3rd.
So what did you think about him, Michael?
Well, the thing that really stood out to me was that they dominated them, and they didn't get Amari Cooper or Michael Gallup involved at all. Nope. They combined for 2 catches for 25 yards, which is insane.
Do you know how to get a touchdown, though? Tavon Austin.
Former Ram.
They ran into each other, too, which was crazy. So,
but I don't know about you guys, but, the Cowboys play the Eagles this weekend. It's in Philadelphia. This is for the division. This is a huge game. Obviously must win. Even if the Cowboys do win, I don't have any confidence in them going forward. This is your first. They're still 0-5 against teams that are currently seated in the playoffs.
Oh, well, yeah.
So I know the Rams were a team over 500.
First team they beat over 500.
0-5 versus playoff teams, to me, is just not.
It's pretty bad.
It's just a lack of consistency, lack of discipline. Starts with the coaches, really, and that's something a good friend of mine has told me. The importance of coaching. Now,
you want to say anything in Cowboys Rams?
Who told you that?
I didn't get to watch the game. I was at work, so I really can't touch on this. But the Cowboys have been abysmal, and I was actually shocked by looking at this score, especially since they haven't beaten a team above 500 this year up until then. So I'm sorry, Tony. That must have been pretty bad to watch.
Let me go on my little rant real quick.
All right, go on your rant.
I watched pretty much the whole game. We couldn't tackle a Pee-wee kid. Like kid playing Pee-wee. I'm not kidding. Every time we try to tackle one of the running backs, we just go for the ball. There was no wrapping up. There was nothing. Zeke had 24 carries for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns. Pollard had 12 carries for 131 yards and 1 touchdown. Our rushing totals, the Rams had 22 total rushing yards.
That's
the
crazy.
Cowboys, 263.
I remember you were saying something about yards after contact.
Another thing. Pollard and Zeke each had 70 yards after contact. Each.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I kept seeing like Clay
Awful
Matthews
tackle.
at least 2 times just got lazy and was just trying
Couldn't
to strip
tackle
the
to save
ball.
our life. Another thing, our offense, dude. I don't even know where to start on our offense.
Dude, where's McVay's
Goff looks
headband?
lazy. He does not care. He literally looks like he doesn't even want to be there. He says he has a thumb injury. Jameis Winston played with a fractured thumb and threw what? 400 yards?
458.
4 touchdowns and an
4
interception,
touchdowns and a
right?
pick.
And those
What did
throws
Goff
were
do?
Beautiful. Yeah.
Nothing. Cowboys, again, 0 wins against the teams above 500. Whooped us. Whooped
Actually,
us.
Dak Prescott has a fractured index finger, I think.
Dak went 15 of 23, 212, and 2 touchdowns. Goff threw the ball 51 times and had 284, 2 touchdowns, and one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I honestly have no confidence going through the rest of this year. We play the 49ers coming up. That's not a good game.
That's a loss.
Only way the
49ers
Rams,
would be
only way
pissed.
we can make the playoffs is we have to win out, and the Vikings have to lose out, and that's not going to happen. So I've basically lost all confidence in us this year.
It's crazy to see the turnaround. I mean, last year everyone was saying, McVay's the new stud in the NFL for. I'm not saying he's not, but
It's Kyle Shanahan.
I mean, the Rams last year was just beating everybody. They were
different team.
insane. And then
We're a
this year
completely
you
different
lose Roger Saffold. And that's
We
I
lost
think
Saffold. John Sullivan was another big one, our center. We didn't even pay him. He just walked. I don't even think he's on a team. I don't know where he even is right now.
the importance of the offensive line and the importance of an identity.
Yep.
And with that, I don't know if you guys have anything else to talk about. We can segue.
No, I'd say they do have an identity, and it's off play action, obviously.
Which
But-
we never do anymore. And
Because you don't
can't
even run
stick
the
to
ball.
Because you can't run the ball. That's
Yeah,
why.
it doesn't
And
make sense.
Teams have figured out the Rams, and McVay has not adjusted since
hasn't.
last year.
Come
Come on,
And
McVay.
he deserves a lot of the blame. I'm sorry, but he does.
He does, but I mean, I'm also going to blame Goff a lot. Goff deserves so much of the blame, dude. Watching Goff last year and watching Goff this year is night and day. He looks so lazy. I'm not kidding. He has like Jay Cutler composure. He literally just goes to the game and just like goes through the motions. That's it. Nothing. There's no excitement anymore. Gurley's done. I've given up on Gurley.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's just hurt or if he's just, I don't know what it is. No one's saying
Arthritis.
anything. No one's giving us any confirmation on him. Nothing. So, I mean,
Yeah, well, Gurley's obviously hurt. The thing with Jared Goff that I've been so unimpressed with for years is just if it's not given to him, if it's not spoon fed to him, it's not going to happen.
Literally has to be on a silver
Yeah.
platter.
If there's any resemblance of pressure coming, he is going to
he
cower
folds.
down and fall down like a little kid.
he folds.
I mean, say what you want about a guy like Baker Mayfield, for instance, who's had his share of mostly downs. But you see this guy who's looked like a $190 soaking wet and takes a lick, gets killed, and will still deliver the pass. And that's what you have to do in the NFL. And Jared Goff is just a little LA boy, and sorry. but
Soft.
He's
very
soft.
He's soft.
Another thing about you were just comparing him to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's much better at moving around, and Jared Goff just kind of sits in the pocket, can't sense pressure as
he's
well as
awful.
He
most
crumbles under
quarterbacks.
pressure.
It's awful, dude. But yeah, that's where I am with the Rams. I've given up on our season already. I've already thrown it away. I'm moving on to next year, which sucks because we paid all these players and we aren't going to be able to move any of them. Like, Gurley's not going anywhere. We're stuck with his contract. We're stuck with Goff's contract. The only person I think we could possibly move is Brandon Cooks, and we're not going to get anything in return.
Anything for value. You just get him off the books if you can.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for the Rams.
So nobody here thinks the Cowboys are turning any type of corner here
No,
coming into the playoffs.
I don't think so.
I mean, I
Same
think they have
with
the
Cowboys.
roster, too. They just don't have the coach.
I think the biggest key for them is Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch have not been what they were last year. They've been missing tackles. They've been blowing coverages. It's been pretty poor to
Sean
watch.
Lee's a
Pretty
shell of
disappointing.
himself. I mean, he had his first interception this past weekend in 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not that he's a
He's
ball
also
hog.
missed quite a few tackles that I've seen
Yeah.
as well.
I love that the Cowboys are underperforming. It's so great being a Redskins fan.
I just don't see them picking it up. I mean, it was a great home win. I'm sure everyone's real excited in Dallas, but I don't know. I just really don't see that making any kind of
just
noise in the NFC, where even the wild cards, you have a team like the 49ers, who are the 5th seed in the NFC because of the Seahawks, which is crazy to me. But
Cowboys won't do anything in playoffs.
Going back to McVay, like what I was really frustrated with in the last game against the Cowboys was like the amount of second and longs that they decided to run the ball on, and you're losing too, and you're setting yourself up with like 3rd and 10. Like say I think one time it was like 2nd and 15. They decided to run the ball. They ended up with like 3rd and 13. So that was extremely frustrating.
As a fan of the Rams, I just don't know where we go from here, honestly. Like, we're stuck with a lot of bad contracts and
No first rounders.
no,
for
we
a
don't
while.
have a first rounder for 2
No
years.
draft capital like that.
We
yeah.
still have to pay Jalen Ramsey, and we have John Johnson coming up, and we have Cooper Kupp coming up. Like, I mean, all of our we're losing money every second, and we
The
can't get rid of
defense,
any of it.
the defense has gotten a lot better since
It has.
Ramsey came.
Much better.
Like,
the
much
Rams
better.
defense is,
pretty
this
solid.
past weekend, obviously.
But where has that gotten them? You know,
Nothing.
it's like
Because at the end of the day, you have a quarterback who's not going to take those shots, and he can't lead your team to that win. He's going to need McVay to draw it up in his little magical notebook, and it's just not happening this year. Sorry, Tony.
No, I've accepted
the
it.
deep ball's gone.
Welcome to the club. I've given up too.
I've accepted
A long time ago.
There's no more deep ball
No,
for Jared Goff or in the offense.
there's nothing. Dude.
Yeah,
Our
so-
offense looks dry. It looks. There's nothing. There's nothing going for us right now. Yeah.
Speaking of a guy with a big deep ball, we can talk about Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, the other primetime game, Bills Steelers. That was a great game. That was
I heard. I'm mad I missed it.
That was
I
another,
missed that one too.
that was
missed that
another
one.
close game. The Bills made the playoffs. They clinched. Did they clinch? Did they in the
They
playoffs?
clinched
clinched the playoff spot.
They clinched the playoffs.
Last year
crazy.
they were in the playoffs, right?
No, I think it was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago with
They've made it 2 out of 3 years.
yeah.
Tyrod, right?
But before then, it was a 17-year stretch of no postseason for the Bills, and you see them this year. They're absolutely killing it. Some would say with a pretty bad quarterback. I know he gets a lot of national media coverage as being a young and upcoming guy with a lot of gifts, and he definitely is. He has all the physical tools and
He's fast. Athletically
athletic.
talented.
He's tall, big hands, good in the cold weather,
Great arm.
fantastic arm. But what'd you say? He couldn't hit water falling out of a boat.
He couldn't hit water falling out of a boat.
Yeah,
He couldn't hit the side of a barn, my guy.
I mean,
So inaccurate.
he's pretty inaccurate.
inaccurate.
Very inaccurate. His completion percentage, I think, is 59.1% on the year.
Ooh.
And by no means do the Bills have a, McVay, Shanahan offense, and they definitely don't have the weapons with John Brown and Cole Beasley and with Dawson Knox being their primary receiving options.
It's pretty crazy.
But John Brown's a beast.
He is a beast.
He actually is pretty good.
He's fun. But
been pretty good.
my point is they don't have a superstar. They don't have any stars.
Yeah.
John Brown's went from like a deep ball guy, just sent him on a 9 route, to like being a complete route runner and running every route on the tree. So,
And they don't have like an amazing running back either. Like Devin Singletary's good though. He's very
He's
good.
good.
And he's
I like him.
he has some promise for the future. I
his
think he's gonna be a
elusiveness
good
and his
running back.
patience. It reminds me so much of Shady McCoy, and it was great that he got to learn from him a little bit. So
True.
What stood out to me real quick with this Bills game is how close of a game it was against the Steelers. Because the Steelers have been pretty good despite all their losses. Mike Tomlin's done a great job, but the Steelers aren't really a team to really beat your chest about that you're beating, especially if you are a team that's supposed to be playoff bound and really good. But I think that goes to show the importance of coaching and how good of a coach Sean McDermott is. That defense obviously is loaded, and they're not going to have a bunch of national media attention. So a lot of people might not know who's on that defense, but they have the personnel to match up with absolutely anybody. They can play anything they want. They can leave, the linebackers can play with anybody. They can put their safeties deep. They don't need to have them help. And I think this weekend when they play the Patriots, it's going to be a really good matchup. So I really like the Bills. I really like what Sean McDermott has done with that team. Despite their shortcomings with their quarterback, their weapons, they are a hard-nosed team that will get after you on defense and run the ball.
Their defense is nice.
They entered this past weekend. They were 5th in rushing offense, and they were 2nd in scoring defense. So that's a team that has a clear identity despite their roster shortcomings. You look at a team like the Cowboys. That team is loaded. You're going to look back in this team in 2 years and be like, how the hell did that team flat out like that? And are you serious? They lost to who?
Yeah.
You look at a team like the Bills, where it's not really all there, but goddamn, do they have their identity? They believe in their coach and they believe in each other.
That's, I mean,
Just
most
guaranteed.
of what the NFL is that exactly. Because last year with the Rams, dude, everyone believed in McVay, everyone believed in his system, everyone believed like in the
Bought in.
team, and that's what McDermott has.
Buying in
McDermott,
is huge.
McDermott has the locker room with him, man.
Yeah.
They're all with him.
He's
And-
completely changed that culture.
Yep.
Bills
and
Mafia.
like you said, like Josh Allen, like yeah, he's not that great of a quarterback, but I mean,
He's far
He's
from
making
that.
it work.
Mm-hmm.
They're making it work with him.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing with that. Their defense has been balling out, but it can only get you so far, you know?
Yeah.
Like this, especially from a year-to-year basis, defense is less consistent from a year-to-year basis. Offense, usually defense regresses over years, year to year. Like, look at the Bears. I mean, they're still having a great year, don't get me wrong, but they're not like they were last
Perfect
year.
example is the Jaguars.
And look at the Jaguars a few years ago. They had all those sacks, all those defensive touchdowns, and then they fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
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 But on the
team's-
other side, I mean, the Steelers, they're technically the 6th seed right now.
They still have a chance. They're still in it.
I really don't believe in Duck Hodges. I don't believe in any
No.
other quarterbacks, honestly.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, James Conner looked pretty good in his first game back in a little while.
He's always hurt. Juju Smith has been hurt. They lost Antonio Brown. They have a good young receiving core, which we've been able to see with James Washington
Yep.
out of Oklahoma State. You got Deontay Johnson, who's been a really good
He's been
player.
very good.
So they have had a couple guys who are surprising, but for me, for the Steelers to be even relevant with all their losses, and they have a guy named Duck Hodges. I mean, the guy's known for being a duck whistler. I don't even. It's just that's beyond me.
He did ball out in the first couple games. that
No,
he played,
he's
though.
looked.
You
I mean,
gotta
he's
give him
had.
credit
He was
for
an
that.
undrafted rookie.
Yeah, he's had games where he's looked good. I mean, this is his last game. I don't blame him. The Bills' defense is one of the best Ds in the league. But if you want to make noise in the playoffs, you're gonna have to play against teams like that. It's nothing but teams with good defenses,
And
especially in the NFC.
the way the Bills were playing, how aggressive they were in that game, I'd say that there were a lot of plays to be made by Duck Hodges that he just straight up couldn't deliver on.
Yeah.
It was just poor execution on his part.
I mean, it'll come. I mean, he has the rest of the year if they make the playoffs because the Titans are right there. So we'll see. But their defense, man.
It was
That's
nice.
huge.
It was like really nice to see the Bills in prime time and succeed in it. Like
Right?
it's
It's
been
been a
12
long
12
time.
years since
12
Sunday Night
years.
Football. It's 12 years.
Wow.
And like seeing all those undervalued, underrated players kind of get recognized in the spotlight was kind of nice, such as like Micah Hyde. I know Micah Hyde. A lot of people are aware of how good he is as a safety. But
Jordan Poyer,
Jordan
Tre'Davious
Poyer,
White
yeah,
was
Tre'Davious.
phenomenal that game. Those are guys that don't get that much recognition, but they're phenomenal.
because they play in
and-
Buffalo, and they don't get
And they
that
play in
much
Buffalo,
exposure.
and that's what you need on your defense to win. Be a good defense that is completely bought in. Just you see, like the Jaguars, they're not bought in. They're done. They gave up. Coughlin was fired today. Breaking news.
Get rid of the boomers.
They're falling apart. I mean, the
boomers.
team's not
It's just
bought
the
in.
boomers.
It's a new league now, man. It's going to be a lot of young minds are going to start coming into the league. A lot of these college coaches are
This
going to start taking over.
this boomer mindset, it's done.
Yeah.
Tom Coughlin's done. He won 2 Super Bowls and he's done.
Yeah.
He's done. He built 2
He's
Super
past
Bowls.
his. I
Not
mean,
too
he's just
shabby.
past his. It's his years have passed him, man. It's a different NFL now.
New era.
Let's run the
Lamar
ball.
Jackson, baby.
Let's run the ball on 2nd and long. We're gonna stuff it down their throat. Okay,
Not anymore.
you're gonna lose 10 games at least a year.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, the only positive that's really going on with the Steelers right now is their defense. Their defense is unreal.
Oh, their defense is filthy.
I love their defense so much, man. They
They,
TJ Watt,
Dude,
was-
Minka.
They made a big gamble trading their first round pick. When in
Paid
the
off.
season they're struggling, could have been a very high pick for cornerback Minka Fitzpatrick from the Dolphins, who was, in my opinion, being used incorrectly. He was being put up to the line of scrimmage and being used as a covered press guy when that was not his skill set. He was okay in that regard, but now he has more space, and I mean he has what two or three pick sixes.
Yeah.
He has like
He has
6
Doesn't he
interceptions.
have like 4 touchdowns? Like
He's just
as
been
soon as he got
absolutely
there?
balling out.
Yeah.
Roll Tide. But what do you expect? He went to Alabama, so
of course.
I'd say like my favorite thing about the Bills and their defense is they have a stud on every single level of their defense. They got a stud on with Jerry Hughes on the
point.
defensive line.
Oh yeah.
They've got
Ed
Tremaine
Oliver.
Edmonds. He's finally like blossoming. He's only 21 years old, man. This kid is gonna be nasty. Like he is a freak. He's what is he 6'5", 250? The guy.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Oh my god.
and he can cover anyone sideline to sideline. That's why I cannot wait for this Patriots matchup this weekend.
His coverage definitely stood
gonna be
out last
good.
game.
The first
I
game was a
mean,
good one.
Was
First
it a
matchup.
7-point game, something like that?
The with the Lions.
For-
at?
no,
The first
no,
matchup?
The first match, I think it was
What
16-10.
6-point game.
Yeah.
So I could be wrong, but it was
And
close.
the Patriots look worse than what they did.
Yeah,
Bills
maybe
are
they're not
better.
trying right now.
Maybe they're not.
The Patriots are regressing. I mean, geez.
Yeah, that,
That
offense is
is
abysmal.
putrid. They don't have any offensive playmakers, it looks like. I mean, their offensive line isn't as dominant as it was in the last couple of years when they really started to pound the ball late into the playoffs. Sonny Michel last year was a guy that was over 1,000 yards. And I mean, he has, I was looking 202 rushing attempts and I think 740 yards. It's just,
They really need to focus on just using I think they really just need to focus on using Sony Michel and James White. No one else. Get Richard out of there. Get Bolden out of there. There's no reason for
Rex
them to get touches,
Burkhead,
man.
baby, got a touchdown this week.
I know, but
Hell
there's
yeah,
no
don't-
reason for them to be using these guys.
Maybe it keeps them
Focus on using
unpredictable.
Michel and using
Getting
James
a little
White.
off topic here with the Patriots.
Well, they do have an amazing coach. And speaking of amazing coaches, who's your coach of the year?
Oh wait, I wanted to bring something else up.
Oh, go for it.
So Jerry Hughes, I was still talking about how they have a stud at every level. Jerry Hughes has 46 pressures this season, which is 26th in the league.
Wow.
They got Tremaine Edmonds, obviously. The game's really slowing down for him now. And cornerback, obviously, Tre'Davious White.
Beast.
Top 3 corner easily.
Beast. He's so good, man.
I think I still think he's not getting enough credit this year, at least. Just because if you look at his stats over here, it's right up there with Stephon Gilmore. You look at passer rating allowed, Gilmore has allowed a 32.8 passer rating, while Tre'Davious White has allowed 43.9. This is adjusted yards per coverage snap. Every coverage snap, Tre'Davious White's allowing 0.43 yards. So adjusted yards, if you guys don't know what it is, it takes into account also touchdowns, sack yardage, and interceptions as well.
Gotcha.
And then Stephon Gilmore's at 0.46. Coverage snaps per target. Tre'Davious White gets targeted every 6.6 coverage snaps. Just in coverage, doesn't include run play, so every time a quarterback drops back. And Stephon Gilmore gets targeted every 6.1 snaps. And then coverage snaps per reception, Tre'Davious White is allowing about 12. He's allowing a reception every 12 coverage snap. So, and then Stephon Gilmore's at 13. So every 13 coverage snaps on average, he's allowing a reception. So those metrics they're
been
very
balling.
similar when it comes to that.
He's definitely. I think this year he's probably top 2. It definitely. I would have Gilmore in front of him, but I think he's
Oh,
second.
for sure.
Sure thing.
Hard to take away from what
A lot of
Stephon
that-
Gilmore has done.
Dude.
But definitely a lot of that turnaround has to do with Sean McDermott, and
Yeah, 100%.
who should be a nomination or in consideration for Coach of the Year, for sure.
Whether he wins it or not, definitely.
Whether he wins it or not, you have to at least consider the guy and give him at least a thought, you know?
So who do you have as your coach of the year?
This is insanely tough for me because there's just so many worthy candidates this year. You got Kyle Shanahan, obviously, and how low those expectations were at San Francisco. And then you have John Harbaugh, obviously, that's an easy one. Sean McDermott, Mike Tomlin, Sean Payton even. So, honestly, I wouldn't be mad if you said any of those guys, but I'm going to have to go with Kyle Shanahan this year.
Kyle Shanahan, man. That makes sense.
I have my
a good
reasons.
choice.
One of them being a lot of the injuries they had on the team, and still sitting at 11-3, just ready to take that number 1 seed. All they have to do is win out. Richard Sherman right now is hurt. D Ford, Kawan Williams, who's their slot cornerback, Jaquiski Tart. I'm pretty sure they all missed last game. I know they lost, and then earlier in the year they had their two tackles out, McGlinchey and Staley, and they overcame that. They kept winning games, and Kyle Juszczyk missed a few games as well. They actually missed a combined 16 games between the three of them, and those are some of the most important players on their offense.
Yeah, 100%.
They're a running team. Yeah. Shanahan's been 49ers has been awesome, exciting team. The one thing for Shanahan with me is I think his defensive coordinator, Rob Saleh, has been awesome this
Yeah.
year.
He deserves a
not
head
taking
coaching
anything from Shanahan, who's been phenomenal, but Robert Saleh has led that defense to, if you guys watch the 49ers any given Sunday, whenever,
Watch them this Saturday. They're going to destroy the Rams. You'll see it. You'll see it firsthand.
that defense gets after
I do have a problem with Salah though. He does get too cute sometimes. I feel like.
No, I know what you mean.
they'll just like drop a defensive end or whatever. Like, why are you doing that?
When you
Or
have
they'll try,
five first-round
they'll try to like drop their linebacker deep into deep coverage to play like center field or something just to like mess with offense, but it makes things pretty hard sometimes. It overcomplicates it. Just play simple. You have the best pass rush. Your secondary's good. Just play simple, and that's all I have for him, I guess. Oh, yeah. I mean, low expectations were a big reason for him to be coach of the year.
True.
Yeah, dude,
people-
they weren't supposed to beat out the Rams or the Seahawks, and they're beating
I believe their
them.
win total was 8 or something, or 7.
And they have, what, 11 right now?
They're
Yeah,
11-3 right
Yeah,
now.
people were only talking about the Rams and Seahawks. So.
Yeah. Dimitri, how about you?
For my coach of the year, I think it's. I mean, of course, there's a ton of guys you could give it to. John Harbaugh has been awesome for the Ravens. I mean, they've completely bought into Lamar Jackson, but I'm going to go with Sean McDermott. I mean, the complete lack of offensive weapons and the quarterback of what they're dealing with. And, you know, I had high expectations for Josh Allen coming into the NFL, hoping he could kind of put it together with his accuracy issues. And it's only a second year. He still could. But that's something we've seen translate from college to NFL is accuracy. You may not have the biggest arm. You may not be the biggest guy. You may not be the fastest. But if you're accurate, you will last in this league. And, I mean, you got guys like Drew Brees, who is just phenomenal. But he's an accurate passer. So for me, with a team with a quarterback who's been quite horrible, I don't know if he leads Pro Football Focus and a lot of bad metrics, such as turnover-worthy passes.
He is. Oh, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
He is having turnover-worthy play at about 5% of his dropbacks,
Wow.
which is, I believe it leads the league. But yeah.
So it just with that, if you're going to look at a quarterback with those metrics, the team that he's on is probably not doing that good. And for Sean McDermott to really overcome that and to be, what are they, 10-4, they're clinched the playoff spot. It takes a lot from a head coach to have your team buy in and completely change the culture there. I mean, you could give it to Sean McDermott. I think he's a great coach of the year candidate.
David?
Well, kind of like Mike said, I have 3. I have a 3-way tie, maybe with one guy leading the pack. But my top 3 were John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, and Kyle Shanahan. I mean, look at what Mike Tomlin's done with a third-string quarterback. I mean, you lost your first 2. You still have an 8-6 record. You lost AB. Le'Veon wasn't there last year, but you also lost Le'Veon. Your team, nobody expected anything of you, and you still are fighting for a playoff spot. So that's pretty crazy to me. And I think their defense is the 4th best in the league. I think something like that. So he's been doing pretty well. Mike Shanahan was my second place.
Kyle.
Sorry, Redskins fan. Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, they were what, 4-12 last year. They bumped up to 11-3 this year with the second best rushing offense. And their defense has been doing well too. But I know that's not his doing, but you know, something to think about. And they're electric, man. They're in my opinion, they're the second most electrifying offense. And that's why I'm giving Coach of the Year to John Harbaugh, because they have the first ranked electrifying offense, in my opinion. And earlier you said to keep a consistent defense throughout the years is pretty important. They've been top 6 defense the last 2 years. I think second last year. I think they're 6th this year. So the Ravens look awesome. Everyone on their team is performing. They've all bought into Harbaugh.
12 Pro Bowlers.
12.
Yeah,
Tied
that
for
is
the most
crazy.
ever.
Wow.
I actually
12?
saw something where it's not.
Really? They were saying on ESPN that it was tied. For the most ever.
I saw someone say that like the Cowboys had 13 in 07. But yeah.
Okay.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Dallas.
So about
One thing
Kyle
they're good at,
Shanahan,
Pro Bowl voting.
like this guy got so much shit for his record. That's all people were bringing up.
Oh, last year, yeah.
Dude, he
That's
had
2
C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins at quarterback.
Yeah, man.
And like Jimmy Garoppolo's nothing special. He's nothing special, really.
He's better than
like
them.
sometimes I feel like he's weighing them down at points. I'm not saying he's bad. I think he's an average quarterback.
Yeah.
But I feel like he is the weak link of their team.
Yeah.
But the scheme is so amazing. You see guys running wide open, like every single play.
Kittle,
It's
for
ridiculous.
example.
Kittle
Dude's
wide open.
all the time. It's
Open
crazy.
all the
They
time.
made a great trade for Emmanuel Sanders. I know last week probably didn't have that great of a game, but it's really opened things up for Deebo Samuel, phenomenal wide receiver out of South Carolina, who's been a big surprise. I mean, he was fantastic in college, obviously, but he's really just, and even on limited targets, he's been fantastic for that team. The 49ers are really exciting. I think that's the one team that will really give, in my opinion, like a team like the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, who just seems unstoppable. A team, the way you beat the Ravens, I don't want to get too off track, is you want to make Lamar throw on you, right? I think a team like the 49ers, who have the scheme, the personnel,
They're fast.
and they're fast.
They're fast
They
as hell,
can
man.
if they can keep Lamar and
just
close
need to
off
contain
the
him.
insides and make him go outside, like we saw. I mean, the Ravens wanted a last-second field goal. The 49ers really lost that game, in my opinion.
In Baltimore.
So I think the 49ers are the 5th seed right now because of the lopsided NFC. But that's a team that is should be a huge favorite for the Super Bowl.
For me, my coach of the year, I mean, there's two people. It's Kyle Shanahan or John Harbaugh. But me, personally, I would go with John Harbaugh. No one I know out of these four right here, other than me, we're looking at the Ravens to win the division this year.
I was high on the
And
Browns.
it's not just you guys. It's literally everyone on Twitter, everyone out there. Everyone was high on the Browns this, Browns that. Not many people were looking at the Steelers, which is understandable. No one was really giving too much credit to the Ravens before the season started.
I was not high on
believed in
Lamar
them.
Jackson.
I did not believe in them like this, though. Yeah. This is unbelievable. Harbaugh completely turned this team around. Lamar Jackson last year looked like a bust. Everyone was complaining about him.
You get rid of Joe Flacco.
Yep. But even with Lamar,
average.
man, people were complaining about him. People were saying to start Flacco last year, especially in the playoffs. It was ridiculous. Now you look at them, you completely turn around the offense.
Flacco's a Super Bowl MVP, dude.
I don't care. I don't care.
Elite.
That one, I mean, that playoff run, that was elite. But yeah, no, John Harbaugh, 100% is my coach of the year for me. They're first in scoring and they're first in rushing. So I mean, and
Nice.
Lamar, that offense in general, just looks unstoppable.
Most electrifying offense.
My one concern with Baltimore this year is what's going to happen, like when someone actually stops the run. Like San Francisco is definitely capable. What's
Or
going to
the
happen?
Browns.
What's going to happen when they got to drop back and throw it 40 times? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they don't have a lead, how can Lamar play from behind? You can't run the ball like that all game.
Yeah.
And he's had flashes, but I still don't. I mean, it doesn't matter.
He definitely looks
MVP
better.
so
Lamar
far.
looks better, like passing wise this year. Like
course.
throwing, he worked on his throwing.
He
a lot,
looks
which
better,
is good.
yeah.
That's what a lot of people wanted him to do this offseason, was work on his mechanics and work on everything.
I'm still not sold, though.
I mean, no, he still has to work.
I don't
on
think
it,
he's that
though.
good of a passer yet.
He needs to work on it still more, but he looks a lot better than he did last year.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that'll be enough, personally, for them to. I think they'll go to the Super Bowl this year. I think.
Why that's important? Why it's not important that he's not that great of a passer, or it's seemingly not important because of what the Ravens have been able to do. They have completely bought into Lamar Jackson and have taken his strengths and run with it. They're not gonna try to make him throw the ball 30, 40 times a game. They haven't been in that position where they've had to. They're a good team. But they know what they have with Lamar.
They're playing to his strengths.
They're playing to his strengths. They've completely. You look at that offense when they have Mark Ingram back there and they're running options. What the hell are you supposed to do?
Dude, do you know what Eric Weddle said? Funniest quote I've heard all year. Eric Weddle after the Ravens game, he's like, I don't know who the hell had the ball. Our defense had no clue who the hell had the ball when the Ravens were playing them. He's like, I don't know who had the ball.
It all happened so fast, and
Dude.
I mean, we've seen some of the fastest players in my life: Tyreek Hill, John Brown, John Ross. I mean, all these fast guys, and you have Lamar Jackson, who he is 0 to 100 in a sec. He's gone.
As soon as he gets open field,
Once
it's over.
he takes that initial step, he is full speed. He's gone. I've never seen anything like it. He's not only the fastest quarterback, he is the fastest player, the fastest athlete on the field. You have guys who just. His Madden rating, whatever.
Talking about Lamar Jackson,
Madden speed, he's going.
going to the next topic, MVP.
I
yeah.
kind of want to highlight. I wanted to highlight the other guys just real quickly
go
who I
ahead.
had on the list, and what these guys that I had on the list had in common. So between Kyle Shanahan, John Harbaugh, Sean McDermott, Mike Tomlin, Sean Payton, they all had to overcome something this year, and they overcame adversity and they led their team to success. With Kyle Shanahan, you had the injuries early on in the year, and now their team's banged up too. You had John Harbaugh. I mean, I guess he didn't really overcome anything. They're just destroying
12
everybody.
Pro Bowlers.
You have to overcome losing to the Browns.
Yeah,
have a net point
they had
differential of
they had to
215,
overcome losing to the lowly
yeah.
Browns. Sean McDermott obviously changed the culture. We talked about that. My problem with Sean McDermott is, like at halftime, like this says a lot about the guy. At halftime, of the game, they asked him like what they got to do to kind of improve in the game and win the game against the Steelers. I'm talking about. And he said, "Oh, we got to get my guy Josh Allen more time in the pocket to pass," which I mean, it sounds all right, but you're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have T.J. Watt and Bud Dupree on the other side coming after you.
Yeah.
And so, how realistic is it to give Josh Allen more time than he already had against that defense, those edge rushers? What you have to do is give him quick options to throw to, get rid of the ball faster. Because Josh Allen's been holding on to the ball. I think he holds the ball the most this year in the pocket.
And it was the same way last year. He had the most time in the pocket.
Yeah.
So look out for that in the playoffs, because that's going to be a big factor. Because that game could have changed with one play like that. Bud Dupree comes off the edge, T.J. Watt comes off the edge, it's over.
You know what? I actually like that you put Sean Payton on your list because I kind of forgot that Drew Brees didn't play most of the season, and that they were winning with Teddy Bridgewater.
He looked good.
I mean, he did. I mean, yeah, and Sean Payton's the reason why he looks good, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Brees. Don't get me wrong. Brees is an amazing quarterback, but Sean Payton, he's been so consistent. His offense has been amazing for years.
I love when people talk about, like people on Twitter and stuff say, "Oh, why can't they just double team Michael Thomas? Like, it's so obvious. Just double team him." Well, it's because the way they're moving him pre-snap and like how they're mixing him in with the other routes and the route concepts, it's easier said than done. Like Sean Payton is so creative.
They use Taysom Hill everywhere.
So like that's when coaching comes in. You could say, "Oh, just double team him," but good coaches are going to find a way to get their guy the ball.
Imagine if the Browns had Sean Payton. They'd be going to the Super Bowl this year. I'm not even kidding.
The problem with Michael Thomas is you can't guard Mike. You can't guard Mike. It's his Twitter handle. If you're not hip.
But yeah, let's go on to MVP. I don't know if all four of us have the same guy. I know three of us have the same guy. It's really just you who I'm wondering, who do you have as your MVP, Michael?
Lamar Jackson.
Oh, so
okay. We all have Lamar Jackson.
In the flesh.
big trust.
But look, I wouldn't be mad if you said Russell Wilson.
Yeah. No, it's understandable, but I mean,
like, look at the rosters. Look at the rosters.
What were you saying? You said something before we started about their defense.
Okay. To give you some perspective of how bad the Seahawks defense, which is notoriously famous for its Legion of Boom and all whatever, Richard Sherman, that whole filthy squad back there. But we are a few years removed from them, and the Seahawks have given up 345 points against, and they've scored 371, giving them a net differential of 26. To put that into perspective, the net point differential for the Ravens is 215. The Patriots are at 191.
I was not his.
49ers are at 161. To get some perspective. So a lot can be said that, hey, without Russell Wilson, this team could be really bad.
Almost winless.
Maybe they have a couple wins without the guy.
Pick maybe, yeah.
So any other year, and I don't want to talk about the other guy yet. Any other year, you got Russell Wilson running away with this thing because Patrick Mahomes is hurt. He hasn't been in it. He's probably out of the race, but.
You can't really argue McCaffrey or Michael Thomas anymore.
A running back's never going to win it again.
No.
And it's just crazy to see what McCaffrey has done. And if you had him on fantasy, like I did, and then I traded him.
So with the McCaffrey truthers with the MVP earlier on in the season, like, I think you can just shoot that argument down with one statement that they had like the 27th ranked offense. So how can the MVP be on offense and like 27th ranked?
You have to think about it like this.
Because if it wasn't him, they'd be 32nd.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's as a running back, you can only do so much. Oh my goodness, you only do so much as a running back.
Exactly.
Well, when you got Lamar Jackson,
MVP.
But that's how much of an impact he makes, though. Like McCaffrey makes such an impact on that offense. If it wasn't for McCaffrey, dude, that offense would be atrocious.
Putrid, it would be pretty bad. But yeah, it's just impossible. And I don't know. Do you guys think maybe they should have like a separate award for like a non-quarterback MVP on offense or something? Because of course the most valuable player on the field is always going to be the quarterback. There's just no two ways about it. So why even have anyone?
I mean, I feel like that's why they have Offensive Player of the Year. Like that one year that Gurley went off, 2017, he won Offensive Player of the Year. Like, yeah, they're not going to give him MVP.
touchdown animal.
Yeah, but that's what that's what it comes down to. I mean, it's Lamar Jackson, man. Lamar Jackson's the MVP.
Yeah.
That's
Same for
pretty.
me.
He's just transformed the game like Vic.
Pretty,
I think he's better than Vic.
I mean, he did break Vic's single season rushing record for a quarterback. So
The only thing that Vic really has on him is a deep ball, but everything else. I
Vic
think
had the
Lamar Jackson-
arm,
Yeah.
but
yeah, Lamar does not have that yet.
I think
even
we
though
all
his
get
stat
kind
line's
of
nice.
lost in Michael Vick. I mean, I think he's a bit overrated.
Yeah.
Michael Vick was because he was the first guy to really just beat out Lamar Jackson back then, and he was always hurt. He never played 16 games in a season ever. I don't think. So I mean, just amazing that Lamar has been doing what he's doing the last 2 years, and this year, how many rushing attempts? In college, he had more rushing attempts than passing attempts. By the way, and he still hasn't gotten injured.
I'm surprised.
I'm not on wood.
And
I'm
he
not
takes
trying
hits, man.
He takes some hits. That's impressive too with Lamar.
But yeah, so I guess it's a unanimous MVP
Yeah.
with Lamar Jackson. I mean, it speaks for himself, dude. 1,000+ rushing yards.
He's
So
in the
he's the
class
first
of his
quarterback
own.
with 2,500 passing and 1K rushing on the season.
And what's his total touchdown? I want to see.
So he has 40
Oh,
total,
you wanna hear
33
about this?
passing, 6 interceptions, 112.8 quarterback rating, 7 rushing touchdowns.
Did you hear this stat? This stat is ridiculous.
Hmm.
He has more total touchdowns than two teams,
Wow.
Washington and the Jets. He has, or no, that's more total yards. He has
Nice.
more total touchdowns than 10 teams. 10 NFL teams.
That's actually crazy.
Professional football teams. He has more touchdowns than 10 of them.
And if you watch him, man, like,
Dude, it's crazy.
there's some games where I don't remember what it was on. I don't know if they were playing the Jets, who they were playing. I remember this because I was playing him in fantasy, and he had like a 40-yard run and fell like the 1 yard line. And then like the drive before or something, he like got pushed out of bounds at the 2. Like he could have so many more touchdowns.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I think a big factor that we're not talking about is, I mean, we did talk about it, but objectively the elusiveness and how many missed tackles he has forced.
Dude.
I saw like the statistics with the quarterback, how many missed tackles each quarterback has, and he has, I think, triple the amount of forced missed tackles that the next guy has, which is Josh Allen, and he's like known for making guys miss.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Have you seen Lamar's juke move? He's a running.
It's a highlight tape
It's a-
every
dude.
There's a highlight tape every week.
He's a Madden player in real life.
There's some guy
No
getting
joke.
embarrassed. I see it every week. A guy getting completely embarrassed. I feel bad for them.
But yeah, I mean, moving on. So we have next we have Defensive Player of the Year. I guess I'll start.
Yeah, go for it.
So mine personally, I think there's a couple people that could win it. Nick Bosa, T.J. Watt. Me though, Stephon Gilmore. That dude's been. He's just. He reminds me of Revis, man. I'm not kidding. He's on his own island. Like no one can catch on him. So for you viewers out there, this is the craziest stat I've heard since I watched football. He allows a passer rating of 32.8 when balls are thrown to him. A passer rating for throwing the ball away, which is a guaranteed incomplete pass, is a 39.6.
That's crazy, dog.
You're better off throwing the ball out of bounds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
100%.
like I have never
Don't
heard
target
of a
him.
stat like that in my life. He's tied for first in interceptions. He has an 83.7 grade on PFF, and he's 36 on receptions allowed. 36 in the week, dude. He's one of the best corners I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
I
been
saw
balling.
Revis.
The only guy I've really seen get any kind of separation against him was DeAndre Hopkins when they played him last week. And that was like maybe like 4 routes where he really beat him. And I mean, I'm with
Beat him,
you.
but
I'm
not really beat him.
I'm with you. I think Stephon Gilmore has just been lights out for a historic Patriots defense who has been carrying that team. Whatever it is, there's always some caveat that's carrying the Patriots every year. And I think it's obviously the defense this year. And Stephon Gilmore has just been.
He's unreal, man.
Well, that's 2 for Stephon Gilmore. Okay.
Yeah. There's a bunch of players that deserve it, but I wouldn't be mad if someone else got it. But Stephon Gilmore, I think personally, is the guy that should get it. But
I agree.
so David, who do you got?
Well, I don't have a clear cut defensive player of the year at all. My top options were Stephon Gilmore, Aaron Donald, of course. Michael talked me into Danielle Hunter, and I mean, I did go back and look, and that dude's been balling also.
82 pressures this year.
Yeah, dude's filthy. And then my boy Myles Garrett, until he did that thing which kind of discredited him and disqualified from this. So we'll forget about that. Michael, what about you?
I was kind of between a couple guys. between Joey Bosa. Sorry, not Joey Bosa. Nick Bosa,
Nick's
T.J. Watt, and Daniil Hunter. But ultimately, I ended up with T.J. Watt.
Makes sense.
Really?
Yeah,
He's balling, dude.
the tiebreaker for me between those guys was that the defense was just straight up carrying that team, and how T.J. Watt's
Literally.
been balling. He has 73 pressures this year, 16 sacks, and just completely dominant. They even drop him into coverage sometimes. Like last year, he played, I believe it was 75%. Like 75% of the time he was on the field, or 75% of passes, he was pass rushing. The other 25%, he was actually dropping back into coverage, and he still put up crazy
I'm
numbers.
pretty sure he has
last
an
year.
interception or two this year.
He's been great in coverage. Pro Football Focus gives him a 79.5 rating. That's
In
for an
coverage?
outside line, but for a guy like that to get that kind of pressure and be that effective in coverage, I mean,
That's pretty crazy.
2 picks this year.
wow.
2 picks this year, that's what it is.
And he's got 47 coverage snaps, so it's not like he's out there like
Yeah.
5 or 6 times.
Wow. Jeez.
Wow.
That's really low key, actually. I didn't know.
Yeah,
that.
I was not hip to that either.
Okay, so Defensive Rookie of the Year, I'm pretty sure this is pretty unanimous.
This has to be unanimous.
It's got to be Nick Bosa.
I chose Nick
Bosa,
Bosa too.
Defensive
Yeah.
Rookie of the Year,
Go Buckeyes, baby.
Who else is there?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Cleveland Farrell, right? Cleveland Farrell.
He hasn't. He
Number
has
3 pick.
Yeah, number 3 pick. Let's get cute and pick a Clemson guy. Okay. For Defensive Rookie of the Year, really, I think besides Nick Bosa, not that this guy, there's really no one in the class, but if you wanted to kind of have some standouts, Max Crosby's been really good for the Raiders. A guy I like a lot, Dexter Lawrence for the Giants, an interior defensive lineman who is absolutely phenomenal. He's a massive human being. He's 350 pounds. He's very quick for his size. They replaced Snacks real easily with
Good old Snacks Harrison.
Dexter Lawrence, man. He's been a phenomenal player, but
It's crazy how much Nick Bosa just separated himself from the rest of the class.
you're not even talking defensive. You're
Talking about
you're
defensive
player
player.
of the year.
Yeah, I mean,
he's just that Bosa family.
Yeah.
What a
Nick's better
bloodline.
It's
than
like
Joey,
Watt.
though.
It's like the Watt family dude now. Like TJ
Football
Watt and
royalty.
JJ, they're both unreal.
Watching the Saints game with the Niners, I just look every time I looked up, Nick Bosa was
Made a
just
play. It's
right
wrecking.
there.
He was wrecking
Complete
whoever-
domination.
It was
Every game.
domination.
And what's so cool about
Every
him is his, like, if you guys see an interview with him, his Cali demeanor. He talks like so quietly, and he's just so chill.
He's a really chill
You would just
person,
never
yeah.
expect him to be
As dominant
as
as
dominant as he is. You
That's
expect
how
him to
a
be
lot of
working
these-
at a surf shop in Newport, California.
That's how
or
a lot of these
something.
defensive
But,
players are.
He's just real chill, and him and his brother are both like that. And he's just a goddamn.
He's better than his brother, though.
He's
for
better.
sure.
He's better than Joey.
He's this 1 year, even though it's only been 1 year, dude. What he's
Yeah.
done this year is just unreal.
What I think what makes him better than his brother is his run defense, because Joey, I think, is a phenomenal pass rusher, and I still think he's better than Nick as a pass rusher. But how good Nick Bosa is with the run, setting the edge, how important that is in the NFL to a defense and to a run defense, and setting that edge and being able to really shut the run down outside is what really has made Nick Bosa just a phenomenal.
So now
pick and
this
player.
is where it gets kind of interesting.
Well, hold on. I just want to say it's pretty crazy how Ohio State produces all these fantastic defensive ends. Might be DN University.
DN University.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely an argument.
Who else?
Well, Joey and Nick. You have Chase Young coming out. Cameron Hayward back in the day. They've had a couple guys. There's definitely more names. I just can't think of them off the top of my head.
Actually, not a
But
bad list. Pretty.
dude, they have some ballers, dude.
So we just claimed that Ohio State's defense end.
Yeah, I mean, I got to do more research, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
DEU.
DEU.
Let's go,
Okay.
baby.
But yeah, so moving on, we have Offensive Rookie of the Year. Dude, I have
This one's tough.
I have 4 names.
I have 3 at least.
My 4, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, Kyler Murray, Josh Jacobs. I mean, honestly, if I had to give it to someone, like if I was forced to give it to someone, I would give it to Josh Jacobs just because of the impact he's made on that Raiders offense. He's been phenomenal. He missed, 2 games, I think? 1 or 2?
He's been great.
He's been very hurt and
Yeah.
playing through it, which
Roll
has
Tide.
been pretty crazy.
Tough player. Find that,
But, I mean, yeah, I'd probably give it to Josh Jacobs, but that's not taking anything away from what A.J. Brown has done on a Titans offense that was depleted up until Tannehill came on, and they've turned that ship around. Terry McLaurin on an offense who had a rookie quarterback who was struggling at first, and he's had what?
I mean, he's played with 3 quarterbacks.
Carousel of
Quarterback
quarterbacks.
carousel,
Yep.
2
You
head
can just call it
coaches.
a clown show with quarterbacks.
Yeah, and this dude
it's
is produced.
It's been terrible.
He is definitely a wide receiver one for the Redskins. They found
100%.
someone who's going to be there for a long time, and he's playing on an elite level this year. And then I had Kyler Murray on there because honestly, he has nothing to work with. The guy has nothing to work with. His O-line is awful. He has Christian Kirk, but Christian Kirk's been hurt. Larry Fitzgerald is 1,000,000 years old. And besides that, what does he have?
Brand new head coach.
Demir Bird, whatever.
I
his
mean,
name is.
and that's my point. I mean, and now with Kenyon Drake's looked good. I don't know what
David
happened.
Johnson's been hurt.
Yeah.
David Johnson's not that
David
good
Johnson
anymore.
has
They haven't
lost a
had
billion
any-
steps. That's
Yeah.
another.
Oh, who said that?
Which is shocking
Before
because
the
his
season?
injury that knocked him out was a wrist injury.
Yeah.
And he didn't have any wear and tear on his legs and mileage, which is what slows running backs down. And he didn't have any of that. So
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be fine. But yeah, he's really shown to be
But yeah, if
injury
I had to give it
prone.
to someone, Josh Jacobs.
True. I mean, yeah, my list was very similar to yours. I have Terry McLaurin and AJ Brown tied for first, with Josh Jacobs second, Kyler Murray fourth, or third, fourth, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, dude, Terry, literally 3 different quarterbacks, 2 different coaches. The second head coach wants to run the ball like 80% of the game. Like, I don't know. He's in a terrible situation. He's been balling. Like, that dude is unreal. 51 catches, 833 yards, 7 touchdowns. A.J. Brown has been balling, though, too. 47 catches, 893 yards, 7 touchdowns. I'm impartial to Ohio State guys, though, and also he's a Redskin, so I'm going to go with Terry. But, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Hashtag not biased.
I mean, dude, he's balling. Are you going to
mean,
deny it? Like,
He, has
come
a, I
on.
mean, he,
No,
has
of
a, he
course.
definitely has a reason. But
Yeah.
Been unreal.
Michael?
Those guys, great names that you guys brought up. I do think Josh Jacobs is the offensive rookie of the year, and I don't think it's that close because I think that recency bias is playing to a huge effect ever since the Raiders have dropped their last few games. Because Josh Jacobs came out in the beginning of the year from the start and was absolutely going crazy. He was making guys miss. He was breaking tackles, and the impact from what they were last year to this year has been absolutely unbelievable. And I do think that recency bias is playing a huge part in not picking Josh Jacobs with you guys. Or no, Tony picked Josh
I picked
Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs.
David didn't.
It's close. For me, it's close.
He's
though.
third.
I do think it's relatively close. But
I mean, the thing that makes it close with me, though, is just A.J. Brown, the situation that the Titans were in the first couple weeks.
Before they switched to
Mariota's one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever
Ryan
seen.
Tannehill.
He's awful.
And he's not getting A.J. Brown the ball. And once Tannehill came in, it's just been completely different. Even with like a decent quarterback, A.J. Brown just looks different. And with McLaurin, 3 quarterbacks, 2 coaches. Like the situation is awful, and he's been making the best of it. And he's one of the best route runners in the league.
Yep.
I think he's just proving that he's an elite receiver.
He's been the most impactful offensive rookie in my opinion, because the Redskins didn't have a clear one. They didn't really have anyone, and he just kind of came in. And they were seeing, what can we get with him? Dude, when they went to the Ohio State Pro Day, they went there for Dwayne Haskins, and they just happened to see Terry there, and it paid off for him. Like, yeah.
What makes Josh Jacobs really the rookie of the year is just the offense flows through Josh Jacobs. He does everything. He's a phenomenal pass blocker. I mean, a lot of those guys, I'm not trying to be biased, but all those guys go to schools like Alabama and Clemson and Georgia. They have such great coaching that they're instilled with great pass blocking and a lot of things that gets rookie running backs on the field. And like you see in like a situation like in Tampa Bay where they have this weird thing with Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones, you could easily argue, is much more talented and has much more upside, but a guy like Arians doesn't like when Ronald Jones misses blocks, and you got guys like Josh Jacobs, for instance. What makes him so good is his completeness as a player. Pro Football Focus had him as the NFL leader in elusiveness and breaking tackles, and that's the ability to create and make people miss independent of the blocking that's given to him. And you're not just saying that's not just for rookies. He led the NFL in all running backs. So for me, it's got to be Josh Jacobs, what he's done. You can't let recency bias, kind of hold us prisoner of the
he's been
moment. What
extremely
Michael
hurt this year.
said.
He wasn't even supposed to be playing.
He's been very consistent too.
But I will, to David's point, the fact that Terry McLaurin is even close to 1,000 yards with this just complete joke of a franchise.
Yep.
With Case Keenum starting the year, who there's a reason he's been everywhere he's been. And then Dwayne Haskins, who
Looked
he had a
awful.
great game against the Eagles, but then again, who doesn't?
And also a coach with a boomer mentality. Let's run the ball.
With a
on
coach that
second
wants to
and
run the
20.
ball 40 times a game. And for him to be close to 1,000 yards, I had a couple more stats on him with McLaurin, who, what was it? He has 11 receptions from passes 20 yards down the field.
Okay.
He's tied for 8th in the NFL amongst all receivers. I think he's already in that borderline elite receiver. Just
Make an argument. For sure.
if we like Pro Football Focus, and we will reference them a lot. They are fantastic for football. They're not perfect, but they analyze and grade every play. I don't want to get too off topic with that, but that's something we will be talking about and referencing a lot. PFF,
Next gen stats.
Pro Football Focus.
Dion Lewis. You hear Dion Lewis's name a lot. I promise.
And the passer rating that's been generated when throwing to Terry McLaurin has been 131.9.
That's a real
tied
stat.
for 4th
That's crazy.
amongst NFL wide receivers.
That's
so it's
crazy.
been very impressive what he's been able to do coming out of college. He was a guy who was seen as an athletic kind of guy who doesn't have those ball skills, but he's just been proving everyone wrong.
He's a
been
baller.
a pleasant surprise in this. If you're a Redskins fan, I'm sorry, but at least we have Scary Terry,
Something to look
touchdown
forward to.
Terry. You know, anything
Dwayne
else we can
Haskins.
get.
I'm excited for his connection with Dwayne in the
But-
future.
Terry McLaurin's awesome.
Scary Terry's already been used though.
Yeah, you can't repeat names. No, you can't.
You know what? It was used on Terry Rozier though.
He ain't
So,
scary.
like,
He's a baller.
Nothing scary
We
about
can
that.
we can strip that. From
His
him.
statistics are scary.
All right. So moving on. This is going to be an interesting conversation right here. We're going to talk about Jameis Winston and his future.
He's in a contract year. This is his final year, and the Buccaneers have to make a decision on him in this offseason. Are they going to sign him, or are they going to let him walk and go a different direction?
Is it a team option or do they have to completely re-sign him?
I think this was his 5th year option.
Oh wow.
I think there is an option. I think they can franchise that.
Can they? I'm not sure.
Should you?
They might, and in my opinion, they should. This guy is lightning in a bottle. I mean, his skill as a passer is phenomenal. When he's on and he's making his passes, if you showed me a highlight montage of Jameis Winston's throws this year, of his best throws and touchdowns, I'll be like, this guy is the best goddamn quarterback in the NFL. And then if you show me the drive before that touchdown, he probably threw one of the worst interceptions you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, dude.
So it's weird with Jameis.
You guys think he joins the 30-30 club this year? 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
Well,
Dude, he might.
He has
He'd be the
30
first quarterback.
touchdowns
Well,
and
he has
24 interceptions.
No
right
Mike
now,
Evans
with
and
2
no
years
Chris
left.
Godwin.
It's not gonna
So.
happen.
Rashad Perryman.
Hey, you never know.
Dude.
You really never know.
I mean, okay. If there's
Jameis,
anyone
you
you
never
don't know with, it's Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
It's Jameis.
What was that stat you had earlier?
Oh, well, I think Michael sent me this. Were you the one who sent me the five? So Jameis Winston throws interceptions to begin games on purpose. I'm convinced. So Jameis Winston has this stat. He has 5 first drive interceptions, and when he throws a first drive interception, his team is 4-1.
Wow,
That is pretty crazy.
that's very interesting.
I just think it's fluke
I
that
am-
it happened like that. But
I am insanely interested to see, like, I wish I could sit in the room when his team, when his agent and Jameis sit down with the Buccaneers and, like, what their pitch is going to, like, it would probably be the most insane meeting ever.
I mean, dude, like Dimitri said, like peak Jameis is like one of the best quarterbacks you'll watch. It's very like his arm talent is there. He's a great thrower, and he can actually move pretty well for as big as he is.
He can move. He can fit balls into windows
Yup.
that are just tiny.
But
and he's
then
phenomenal.
you have that drive where he throws an interception straight to the defender, and you're
Yeah, he has
like,
some bad
why would you
picks.
even throw that?
Yeah.
And that's the problem with him. Like you either get really good or you get really bad. There's no middle ground with him. So
Could be the best decision you ever made or the worst decision you ever made.
I need to find that video on Twitter, man. That was one of the
I'd
best
say
videos I've seen.
You got to give him a year.
I would re-sign Jameis.
I probably would also.
Yeah, if I'm the Bucks, I would too.
It's like, because what do you do if you don't? If you don't,
Yeah.
who's a free agent this year?
And what's their record?
Casey Keenum.
They're 7-7. They're on pace for a mid-round draft pick. You're gonna take a shot in a first-round guy in the middle of the round, or are you gonna go with a guy who who can light it up 458 and 4 with your best option, with your arguable number one option, Mike Evans, gone against a very susceptible Detroit
And then
secondary.
Chris Godwin got hurt in the second quarter too.
And he still just was absolutely flawless. He had a pick, whatever. But for one pick for Jameis, it's like Christmas.
That's Christmas.
I do think like that's a good point there. You're picking in the middle of the round. Those guys, like it's pretty thin with the Tua injury. He'll be gone by then. I'm thinking. It's like, what do? You pay Jameis. You hope for the best, and you also have to consider this is first year with a new coach. You got Bruce Arians there, and now things are finally starting to click. What
It's
is
starting to click,
is
but
it
he
four
still
in a row?
turns the ball over a lot.
I don't know.
Is it
with
4 in a row for the
their-
Bucks?
Something like that. That's similar to that.
I think it's either 3
it's
or
not
4.
4.
Let me see and pull it up right here. We don't have a stat guy, a producer, to pull this up for us.
Jamie, you there?
4 in a row. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won 4 in a row.
That's pretty crazy.
And they play Houston this weekend
It's gonna be a good game, actually.
at home with no Evans or Godwin.
I think Bucks win that though.
So I think we all agree we got to give Jameis another year.
If I'm the Bucks, I offer him a 2-year contract.
2.
2. I think he gets 2 more years with Bruce Arians. Let's see how it goes. Next year's gonna be a big year for him.
Next year's gonna be huge.
Dude, that's like the make or break right there next year. So I don't know. I mean, like I said,
Actually, this week is huge
this is
because he's had one of the best receiving corps all year, and now you got to go play Houston. I mean, Houston's secondary is pretty awful, but
Yeah.
you still got to prove it like without your top guys there. And let's see if they
Waiting
get
for the
OJ
contract.
Howard involved.
I was
Let's see
about to say,
let's see
yeah.
how they get finally. Let's get OJ Howard involved. Come
Got
on,
no choice but to
the guy's
get
so
him involved.
talented.
I mean,
Rashad
I know-
Perriman's your
yeah.
number 1 right now. So
I know you hated when I picked up Rashad Perriman this past week.
Yeah, dropped 32 on my head. So
That's crazy. He literally saved me that game.
yeah, I was punching air during that game. So
If you guys want real quick, we can touch up on the Panthers. Real
oh.
quick.
Yeah, that's fast.
Before we continue, if I'm Jameis's agent, I'm showing that side-by-side comparison between him and Peyton Manning at 25 years old.
Yeah.
They have the same stats as leading up to their 25 years of their life. They have, I don't know if it's the same, but
Pretty close.
damn close.
yeah.
So
It's
you
scary.
wait.
Actually,
you
Jameis'
wait on
stats are even
Jameis.
better.
They're probably even a little better.
I don't know about his interception numbers, but his like touchdown and passing yard numbers are definitely better.
That's
you
pretty
risk
crazy.
it. You risk it
Different
with
year,
famous
different
Jameis. You hope he can eat the W. And
And not
you
turn
eat
the
that
ball
paycheck, you
4
give him
times.
52, 53.
4 in a row, baby.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess we can touch up on the Panthers just a little
Just
bit.
real quick,
Staying
yeah.
in NFC South, got the Panthers who seem to be free falling right now. They're in panic mode.
What
as
is going on?
They fired Ron Rivera. They are benching Kyle Allen. They're turning it over to Will Greer, who I'm shocked they didn't go to earlier in the year, but
Trying to trade Cam Newton.
Cam Newton seems to be gone. He's
Yeah.
had a successful surgery. They're giving the ball to little old Christian McCaffrey 30 times a game. How
He's a
much longer
beast.
can he keep taking that?
Michael,
He's a beast,
he's a
but
bell cow.
He's about
Say
Cal.
it.
Until he
I
gets
just
hurt.
want to hear you say it.
until he gets
Until he gets
Until he
hurt.
gets hurt.
He's probably gonna
2,000
get hurt.
scrimmage yards.
Look, all right. His workload, they gotta chill. Their backups are capable. You gotta at least have some kind of balance. Give the guy a rest.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
really does.
They're gonna run him into the ground. They're going to run him into the ground.
Yeah.
It's true.
I don't care who you are. Your body can't take it. It doesn't. It's just we're human beings. And
So what happened to remember that Kyle Allen is better than Cam Newton crowd? They kind of just disappeared.
kind of fell off.
I do want to say it's like that Simpsons meme. You know, like that Simpsons meme where
Homer goes into the
Homer,
bush?
Homer
Yeah.
backs up into the bush. That's literally the perfect description for the Kyle Allen
Allen
is better than
truthers.
Cam Newton truthers.
I mean, hold on. Cam Newton is not that great anymore either, but
I wouldn't say
That's-
but
that's for another-
he's
that's for
definitely
another
better than
time.
Kyle Allen.
If his foot, which I think that was the injury or his ankle or whatever, if it's not 100% and he's not running the ball and he's not being vintage Cam and then that he's not a pocket passer. He struggles mightily with accuracy and his
A lot of it
ability to
comes
create
from,
comes from the
mechanics.
ability to run. So
Definitely some mechanical issues in his throwing.
I'm interested to see what Greer has, honestly.
yeah, that'll be cool to see.
Panthers have a good young core. Sorry to cut you off. McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and
Moore's third in
Curtis
receiving
Samuel.
yards, I think.
They have a lot to look forward to.
Speaking of receivers, I just want to say, I don't want to hang too much on the past, but let's not forget this guy Cam Newton led them to Super Bowl and won the MVP with like Philly Brown. Philly Brown was his number one receiver.
Philly Brown.
Oh, also, Kyle Allen this year in 12 games, more turnovers than Cam Newton has had in any season in his career. In 12 games.
That is.
And Cam Newton was a rookie. He had 19 turnovers. Kyle Allen this year has 22 turnovers.
That includes interceptions.
And that's kind of been Cam Newton's like biggest criticism, you know, like the boneheaded plays he makes, the inaccuracy at times due to his mechanical issues. So you're the Panthers. You get rid of pretty much the thing that you had going for you. You had Cam Newton, number one overall pick. He's strung together multiple good years, despite people saying that he only had one good year. He has had high graded years after that, and he's stringed together. I think he's had like 5 straight years over a grade of like 72 via PFF. And if you're embracing analytics now, right? That's what their GM said. Mm-hmm. Why are you getting rid of Cam Newton for Kyle Allen?
Well, he had a bad start to the season.
He did, but why are we using 2 games where Cam Newton clearly wasn't himself? He was clearly way too hurt to even be out there to say, oh, it's over. Start Kyle Allen. Start Will Grier. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And then another big thing, this is mind-boggling to me. What's the Panthers' record right now?
That's pretty bad. Aren't they like 6-10?
6.
No.
No, because they have.
I mean, 6-8. My bad.
6 and 8, whatever they are, they're not in playoff contention. Why in the last 6 games you're giving your young first-round edge rusher? Why is he only playing 102 snaps in the last 6 games?
Who, Burns?
Brian Burns.
He's played 102 snaps in 6 games.
102 snaps in the last 6 games, being outsnapped 3-1 by Mario Addison and Bruce Irvin. Who they're good players, but they're 32 years old. And if you're sitting at 5 and 8, you have like, what's your direction? Play the young guys.
Yeah.
Play the young guys. He's a raw prospect. He's a young kid. He has to learn. He has to learn and develop his path. He's a beast. Yeah. There were some games where I was watching and he just completely popped off the screen. His speed is insane.
He's phenomenal, and Carolina needs to figure it out.
Mario Addison and Bruce Irvin, they're 32 years old.
Yeah.
Play Brian Burns. And in the first 8 games he was playing, he was the second as an edge rusher in snaps for their team.
Jeez.
So I don't know how these are good football decisions, and I'm seriously questioning it. I think they're going to regret some of these moves.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. Talking about teams that are underperforming, the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, man.
Dimitri, you want to say something quick?
Well, like, everybody was excited when Odell Beckham was traded to the Browns. They signed Kareem Hunt, many would argue a top 5 running back in the NFL before his unfortunate handlings in the law and all that. So, I mean, everything on paper, you had Nick Chubb, Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, pretty good defense, Odell Beckham, one of the best receivers in the NFL, you know? And for them to just, Baker Mayfield, Baker Commercial Man, whatever, just for them to have all that hype and potential.
He's so good at commercials, though.
He's a phenomenal actor.
He's awesome.
His PFF acting grade's a 95. So that was pretty good. But just wow. I mean, what a season to throw away. Head coach has been horrible.
Awful. Abysmal.
I mean, wow. You have Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham yelling to the Cardinals sideline.
Cardinals.
The Cardinals saying, "Come get me."
The Cardinals have 4 wins, by the way.
Oh, 4 wins.
The Browns have more wins.
They're saying to come get them off their team. So that just kind of shows the state.
That makes sense.
It'd be fun to play with Kyler, though. I would say that, too.
Yeah.
Michael, anything to say?
Yeah, so I would say, Odell today said, like, it's all good. I'm here to stay. Like, we're going to figure this out. That tells me Freddie Kitchens is gone.
He has to be.
Despite the reports saying that.
I hope to God he's gone. But continue. Sorry, I'll have my.
No, I don't have anything else to say other than I think Odell knows something that we don't.
That'd be pretty fantastic.
Because he's basically 1 foot out the door. It's either Freddie Kitchens is gone, there's going to be a change, or I'm out of here. I'm demanding a trade.
Yeah. I don't blame him. I really don't blame him at all.
There's just a couple things I want to hit.
Go for it.
I told all 3 of them before the season. The day Odell got traded to the Browns, I bet them all that they weren't going to win the division and the Ravens were going to win the division. And I was right.
You took advantage of us.
I did.
You took advantage.
What was
What
that, a $10 bet?
It was
God
10.
damn
It wasn't much, but like
Took
my
advantage of
point
us at our
is,
low point.
you have to feed a lot of mouths on that team. There's a lot of mouths to feed. Like the fact that they can't even feed the mouths they have on that team is ridiculous.
If they had a viable coach, they could do it.
No, Freddie Kitchens, I'm not kidding, is a bottom 2 coach in the league. Him and Jason Garrett are the worst coaches.
He's
in the
worse
league.
than Jason Garrett.
You can make an argument. I don't know.
There is an
but,
argument there for sure. but-
Yeah, they're 6 and 8. I mean, you have Chubb, who's the leading rusher in the league. So I mean, you have a lot
Silver
of
lining.
bright. You have a lot of bright spots on that
Yep.
team, offensively.
They're not
and
far.
defensively.
They're not far. They just need a coach.
That's all they need, really.
And in a coaching league, that's what you need.
Yep.
But to have everything set up, you have a franchise quarterback.
Yep.
You have a defense easily you can work with. You have a defensive stud in Myles Garrett. He's got to keep his head cool.
What do you guys think? You think Dorsey takes the fall or?
Well, I mean, I have a little bit of a rant here.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
All right. So for our viewers, I'm a Browns fan, Ohio fan in general. My dad's from that area, so that's why I kind of take this personal because I absolutely hate Freddie Kitchens and he ruined my season, my enjoyment. So yeah, talk about major disappointment. I was super high on the Browns, as you all know. I bet you that $10.
Yep.
Unfortunately, dude, they had a decent draft. They didn't have a first round pick, but I mean, they took Greedy Williams. They stole Mac Wilson in the 5th round, who I think is good and he's blossoming still. I think he's pretty good. I know you don't, but you're
like
pretty
Mac
high on
Wilson.
him. I'm pretty high on him. He had a good game, picked off Kyler Murray. I don't know. He's been playing pretty well. And then, dude, Baker Mayfield was coming off an amazing rookie campaign. Like the dude, he broke the rookie touchdown passing record. So he was coming in hot. Like I was like, all right, Browns they're building up. Like they had a couple good off-season moves, but then a couple iffy ones too. Like yeah, they got Kareem Hunt, which was awesome. But then they traded a huge part of their line in Kevin Zeitler to the Giants and they traded away Jabril Peppers, a 3rd-round pick and a 1st-round pick for OBJ, who's obviously top 3 wide receiver in the league. But then an injury-riddled Olivier Vernon, who missed 4 games this year at least, maybe more.
Always injured.
Yeah, I mean, like they had some good offseason moves, some bad offseason. It was whatever. I was still excited for the season, but then they kept doing dumb things leading up into the season. Like they traded away more linemen. Like you already traded your best lineman. You don't have linemen, but you're trading more away. They traded Austin Corbett to the Rams. They traded Wyatt Teller to the Bills. Like yeah, they're not huge names, but those are dudes that can play for you still. And like you don't have a line, so like keep what you can. So
Yeah, that Austin Corbett experiment was over pretty quick. The fact that they got rid of him for what was it, a 6th-round pick?
Yeah.
For 6.
there's something awful. Yeah.
Last year.
I didn't mind that the Rams
Second
even got
round.
him, regardless of how much he's underperformed. Like he's still really young. You can still teach these linemen. Like
He did go to a small school, so
Yeah.
maybe NFL coaching long term
Yeah.
it'll adjust.
I mean, but trading all these linemen away like showed during the season like their line's not good at all. Like it's bad. Like if they had a better line, their record might be better. Like I'm not blaming it all on that, but it needs to be better. And then yeah, they tried to make a couple more moves. They tried to get Trent Williams from the Redskins, but Bruce Allen sucks, plain and simple. So they weren't able to work that out. And then come season time, we watched a couple games. We went up to Cleveland to watch the Rams-Browns game. That was super fun, by the way. Dude, it was a close game, but
It was.
a lot of boneheaded calls. What I noticed this season is Freddie Kitchens is the absolute worst offensive coach in general. Like that dude is garbage. He has no schemes to get
say this
his.
for me real quick. Go ahead.
Ran the ball on 4th and 9. Well, I heard that was an. I heard that was an audible. That was Baker's fault. So I can't.
Freddie Kitchens was really confused about that. He was
Yeah, but that doesn't take away from the fact that his schemes don't get his best playmakers the ball at all. Like no pick routes, nothing. He like gets his plays off Madden. He's like, "Hey, run a streak, Odell. We'll try to get you the
He's
ball."
asking Madden what to do before
Literally.
each
Dude,
play.
literally, like this dude is lost in a coaching league. You cannot be Freddie Kitchens. He is garbage, and he needs to go for the Browns to be successful.
And it's not his fault. A lot of the
Completely.
times, our fans like to blame a guy like Freddie Kitchens. I'm sure this guy's doing his best, but he just is not cut out for it. And
Not
for
at
them
all.
to promote a guy from their coaching staff with what was he, a quarterback coach?
running backs coach, I think.
Running back. He has
Yeah.
absolutely no experience.
Yeah.
And then you had Dorsey giving him the head coaching job because he's close with Baker, maybe. Who
Yeah.
knows? But then that's a bigger issue with the Browns. That goes to management. That goes to the front office.
Yeah.
Neglecting the offensive line.
Neglecting the
That
offensive line,
huge.
putting a coach in position to fail when he has no experience to show otherwise.
And not only that, there's no way he can handle all these egos in the locker
his
room.
personalities.
And it's showing. His players don't respect him. Not at all. They're asking other teams to come get them because they do not respect this man at all. Like
he shows
literally,
lack of
zero.
judgment when he wore that Pittsburgh started
Yeah,
shirt.
that was awful.
The
That
guy
was
is
awful.
just, you know what? I just said that it wasn't his fault, but for doing something like that, you're an idiot.
Yeah, no, that was
My
a
daughter told me to
boneheaded
wear
move.
The
it.
thing, Dorsey is already on his last leg. Like he messed things up in
He,
Cleveland.
he has this one more
I mean, not
offseason.
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
He has one more offseason to prove if he should stay or not. Honestly, I mean, we'll see what
It's
happens.
like all
But
about flashiness. It's
Yeah.
not making good football decisions and just.
and the other things that also led to the Browns not being as good as we thought they would, minus the rushing attack, like, yeah, they had subpar performances, but, dude, the injury bug bit them everywhere. Like, Olivier Vernon was gone for a while. Ward and Greedy were out for multiple consecutive games. Njoku was out most of the year. He played, 2 games? Christian Kirksey, IR all year. Morgan Burnett went out on IR. That whole Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph debacle led to Okunjobi being suspended and then Garrett being suspended for the rest of the year. So you're missing key players in your team. You're not going to perform well if you're missing all these guys. So, I mean, it was a very, very upsetting year, especially as a Browns fan. I was really excited, but to see what happened. And I put most of the blame on Freddie Kitchens and John Dorsey. I think they're both to blame for this. I'm still high on the actual players on the team. I think we have the potential to be a very good team. But you need a new coach, especially in this league. It's a coach's league. Man, if they got Lincoln Riley or someone dope like that,
Anyone.
that'd be
Who's
crazy.
going to come to Cleveland?
Yeah, I mean, look at the talent. I mean, you could make that team into something.
Talent.
And you don't have to do anything. All you got to do is win 8-9 games and just turn it around a little, and you're a hero there. You're
Yeah.
a damn hero in
I mean,
Cleveland. There's no
yeah.
expectations.
The
Great
thing is, it's
point.
not like the AFC is hard. Like,
Nothing
so
there.
You can
The
get into the
AFC
playoffs as a
sucks.
wild
That's
card.
a great point.
Browns have been trashed for decades,
There's
man.
no
Just get
expectation.
somebody decent.
You know what that made me think of? Oh, no, go ahead.
No, go.
That made me think of what you said, no expectations. Like when we went to that game, we went to the Cleveland Browns Rams game in Cleveland. And, everyone after the game is pissed off. They're cursing, oh, Kitchens, you're terrible, cursing him out. And then we get out of the stadium, and it's just like business as usual for the fans. They're just like, oh,
Yeah,
we
it's
lost.
normal, dude. It's normal.
It's the craziest thing I've seen in sports. They are so used to losing that it's just like business as usual.
If you can turn it around, you will be a legend.
Hero. You'll be a
Dude,
hero.
Cleveland's a football city too. When we were there, even you said like it was awesome hanging out there, going to the bars near the stadium. First Energy, dude. That stadium was energetic as hell. I've never been to a football setting like
it was
that.
pretty
That was pretty fun. So, yeah, Browns need a coach. As soon as they get a coach and maybe some offensive linemen, dude, they'll be scary.
I think another factor with the Browns and their decision to go with Kitchens from last year is, and it was kind of a negative how well Baker played last year, because it masked a lot of issues how he was fitting it into those tight windows, and he's not playing awful this year, but he's not playing well enough to mask those issues like he did last year. So
I think schemes have a part to play in that too. But it's also on Baker. I mean, he hasn't been amazing. He's focusing a lot on commercials. I feel like he's not really focusing on football as much. But I still believe in Baker. I think he can be a very good quarterback in this league, especially with the right coaching. I haven't given up on
The
him
only
at all.
problem I have with Baker is he holds the ball too much.
Yeah, without O-line, you can't do that. I mean, Greg Robinson's your left
And
tackle.
another
Like,
big thing that he did, especially at the Rams game, he tried to leave the pocket
Rolled
when they had
right
a clean
out
pocket.
every
without
single
it being
time.
necessary.
I'm like,
Yeah.
just chill. Like, you have time. Like, try to just buy some time in the pocket. Your
he's
pocket's
worked
clean.
on that recently.
But yeah, I mean, honestly,
yeah. I mean, he's been playing better.
So
They beat the Ravens. That was pretty cool.
both of our teams made mistakes.
better
Trade
days are
offensive
ahead
linemen.
for the Browns. Hopefully. Can't get worse, right?
It could, but let's not hope it does. Let's not hope it does.
I don't really think it could. Honestly. Maybe.
Let's not jinx it.
But yeah, guys. So to that, cheers to our first
Yeah,
episode.
cheers,
to our
boys. First episode.
Cheers.
boys.
This
Episode.
is water. It's nothing
not
other than
vodka.
water.
Drink some water.
Yeah, water's
Water,
good
stay
for you.
healthy.
First episode done. We've been
Yeah.
talking about this for a while.
Yeah, I'm happy we did it, guys.
Yeah, it was exciting.
So yeah.
So tune
Hell
in.
yeah.
Thank you.
Tune in to the next episode.
Subscribe, baby.
Yeah, subscribe if you like it.
Subscribe. Lamar Jackson in the flesh.